Hello and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills and today's segment of Build Your Difference. I'm your host, Pierre Walters, and I'm excited about today's guest. She is a prolific speaker, coach, blogger, and author of 5 books, including The Game Changer, Is It 5 O'Clock Yet? The Manual for Ultimate Executive and Celebrity Assistant Efficiency, based on her popular worldwide blog, Tips for the Efficient Executive Assistant. Building from that success, she is soon to launch her most ambitious and important project to date, Job Interviewing Strategies for Teens. So please welcome Pamela Bodley. Pamela, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
It is my pleasure. We are so glad to have you on the show today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Pamela, you are a prolific writer.
Thank you.
You really are. And I want to dive into Job Interviewing Strategies for Teens. This book, this is the foundation, I understand, for many of your workshops, as well as a workbook that you have coming out in the spring. Is that right? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So the book Job Interviewing Strategies for Teens all started with my own sons. I have 2 sons, and when they were teens, I would teach them how to go on job interviews by doing role playing, letting them know that you have to go in, even if you're interviewing at fast food, I need you to dress like a boss. Okay, shirt, tie, shoes, slacks. So they would go in and I would teach them role playing and I would ask them questions, like tell me about yourself. What do you know about our business? Why should we hire you? And test them on these questions, get their responses, and then tweak their responses. So then when they're there, they know exactly and they're hitting every single, question. Mm-hmm. So that's where this book started. And now it's a workshop, a 4-day workshop, and the teens and the youth, they really seem to love it and they seem to respond to it.
Now, Pamela, why? Because I can tell this is not only this is something you're passionate about, but this is also something that is very personal to you because, as you said, it started right in your own home.
Yes.
But why do you think this is so important for teenagers across the country to get involved with and to understand?
I think it's really important. I mean, you heard it takes a village, right? No one person, no one entity, no one organization or business can help the teens. We have to do it together. Yeah. So I like to collaborate with other organizations and bring these skills, these life skills, these career and job skills to the teens because you don't know what you don't know. And I wish that when I was a teen that someone was there to teach me these things and give me a heads up and a leg up so that I can go in like a boss early at 15 and 16 instead of, learning along the way, which is how most adults learn how to interview, through trial and error. Yeah. So I'm trying to give them this opportunity of knowing how to interview for jobs early on in life so they can hone that skill as they get older.
I hear you. When I was a teenager, I didn't have anything like this. I mean, the closest that I had to any kind of professional training or job training was in high school, just taking like an economics course or something and filling out not job applications, but just assignments from the teacher. Mm-hmm. So my question for you is, what you've developed is so in-depth and it's so precise. What sets your workshops apart from other opportunities that kids, I don't know that there are other opportunities that kids might have to learn this, but what makes your workshops different?
Thank you for that question. When I created the workshop, I was all about different because I didn't want it to look or feel or be like anything else that's out there. So in my workshop, when you think of the word workshop, maybe you might think of like a school setting, but for me, it's more like an event. So when I put my workshop on, I come in, there's theme music because music, gets the teens' attention. You come in with music and with a big sound, I bring my Bose speakers and, I have a big sound and it introduces me and it gets their attention. So when I come in for the workshop, we're ready to get started. I'm ready for questions. What do you guys want to learn? So it's very engaging, very informative. And I'm not saying that there aren't other workshops out there like mine, but I just think that what I'm bringing, the content, it's a real talk workshop. I am from Bronx, New York. So it's a real talk workshop where I'm engaging and interacting with them constantly throughout the whole workshop. I'm not just talking and speaking at them, I'm speaking with them.
Okay. That's pretty much, and when I was saying about my high school experience, it was just being talked at.
Yeah.
I was just being talked at. That's why I retained none of it.
Right.
So what you're doing, I think, is phenomenal because, like you said, you're engaging.
Yes.
You're speaking with them And I think, when I was a teenager, what I can remember was I learned best by doing.
Right.
I learned best by getting up and practicing.
Right.
And sometimes I learned best by failing. But I never had the opportunity to fail if I'm just answering questions on a worksheet all day,
Exactly.
So this is, I think, a really incredible experience. Now, I understand that you have 5 books.
At least 5.
At least 5. Oh my goodness, at least 5 books. So, okay, I want you to tell us a little bit more about the book, You Learn, Tips for College Students to Master Admin Jobs. Did I get that title right?
Yes.
Okay, what can college-bound students take away from that book?
For college-bound students or students in college, if you have a specific industry that you'd like to get in, go in. You guys already, they know how to type already. They know how to use the internet. They have computers. Go in as an admin. If you know how to type and answer phones, whatever specific industry they want to go into, go in as a clerk or an admin and get your foot in that way.
Interesting. Interesting. I think there used to be a trope or a word, like a phrase or whatever, a cliche, which was start in the mailroom.
Yes.
And what you're saying is, no, don't start in the mailroom. Start as an admin. Because I imagine you're exposed more to the communications, obviously the leadership, probably the C-suite in whatever organization. That is, I don't know why. I mean, come on, that is clever. That is clever, and it is intelligent, and it cuts straight to where you want to go if you really want to progress in a particular industry.
Absolutely.
How did you come to that realization?
You know what? Just growing up and I was an admin. I was an executive assistant for like 20 some odd years, and just putting it together with the teens and raising my own sons. I just put it together. I'm like, what college students can do where they already have the skills basically. They know the typing and the skill and the internet. They should start at an admin. If you want to be a nurse and you're just 20 years old or whatever, apply for an admin position in a temp agency and get your foot in that way. This way you're in the environment that you would like to be when you graduate and be in your career, and you don't know who you're going to meet while you're there. Right. So that's why I say put yourself in the environment that you would like to be in.
Right, and it's and as they say, just to underscore, it's not always what you know, but who you know.
Correct.
Right? And so putting yourself in that environment allows you to make those connections in a more natural, that's
exactly right.
Why didn't I have you as a coach when I was just getting started?
Well, listen, that's why I'm out here for the teens and the youth now, they're here to help them.
So, okay, you are not only a career coach, but you are also in many ways a life coach. Wouldn't you say?
Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat, okay. So now I'm referring to a very specific book that you wrote, A Lifetime Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that is, I'm reading now, that is a story of how to effectively build trust starting from infancy through adolescence and adulthood. How did you first see this desperate need in society and then formulate and provide steps for anyone to learn familial bonding?
Nice. I like the way you put that. Thank you. Yeah, it's actually just a story it's my own story about raising my sons, and my sons turned out to be such amazing human beings and young men that I was just so proud to tell the story of how I help them to create that, because we mold our children, and what we put into it is what we get out of it. It's just like a bank. If you're not making any deposits, you're not going to have anything to withdraw. So, starting from when they were babies, and some parents may disagree with this, but my mother taught me to pick him up whenever he cries. Now, some people will say, no, that's not good, let them cry, it's good for them. I say, it worked. Yeah. I mean, every time he cried, I would pick him up, and it taught him trust. Yeah. When you're an infant, you don't know anybody. So you need to learn trust. And so at 2 months old, between the ages of 2 and 4 months, my first son did not cry at all, because he would scratch the mattress and I'd say, Mommy's coming, and he would not cry because he already learned trust. Right. That I would trust. So the book is about, the decisions that I made from infancy even through adults, and how I, help them become the men that they are. I help them choose parents. It's important to teach your kids how to choose their friends. That is important. And there's a section on that. All my books are available on PamelaBodley.com.
Amen. And I just want to say that what you just said about when your sons were small, when they were babies, and you took the time to pick them up when they cried. I mean, so that they could learn that, I guess, that initial foundational lesson of trust, that they can trust you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna say we hear so much in the news about young men of color who are being, it seems sometimes targeted inappropriately by law enforcement or other systemic issues.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just, it makes me feel so good to know that, you know what, while that's the narrative that we hear oftentimes, we can change that. We can change that. I mean, and while there are a lot of things that require maybe legislation and all that, there's also things we can do at home.
Yes.
And not only that, but as teenagers, there are things that I'm not a teen, but we can do as a community, but also as teenagers to sort of take more control of our own destiny. And what you're doing with your workshops is you're providing a very practical way forward, where sometimes, maybe kids, maybe inner city kids, I mean kids in all areas may feel that there isn't a way forward, and may feel discouraged.
Right. And that's who I'm targeting. I want to help the inner city, the low income, doesn't matter the race, ethnicity, none of that matters. If you want to get guidance, and I'm here, that's what my workshops do. I find a gap in society and then I fill it.
You find a gap in society and then you fill it.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of gaps in society.
There are a lot of gaps.
So you're gonna be busy for a long time.
I hope to be. I hope to be. And one thing I wanted to just add about the book is for teenagers, having teenagers, it can be a very harrowing time for any parent. But I'll just say to any parent, if your teen comes in clearly upset, angry about something, don't just ignore that and say, oh, he'll be all right. Go find out what's wrong. Go and talk to them. And I think a lot of the times kids feel abandoned because they don't have anyone to talk to, anyone who really listens to them.
Wow. All right. I love that. I absolutely love what I'm hearing, and this is life lessons for all of us. So look, we're gonna take a quick break, but when we return, we're gonna hear more from the amazing Pamela Bodley. Stay tuned. I'm like tearing up here. Stay tuned. We have more after these important messages. Special guest, Pamela Bodley. Now, prior to the break, we were discussing your books, and we were discussing the incredible impact that you're making in society. And you said, and I love this, you said, what you want to do is look for I think you said the gaps in society, and you want to fill those gaps. And that really moved me. And so now I have a question for you, and this question is, we've discussed how your books are making an impact in the community. We discussed how your mission is geared towards the community and for families. But are your resources also useful for organizations and people groups like ministries or churches? Because from what I understand, it can start a conversation around the ways in which we bond as society. I want to know, can organizations use these resources? And if so, what are some key truths that you want us to walk away with?
Okay, the answer is yes. Organizations can use my resources. Youth groups, youth bureaus can find my book and find it useful. They can learn from the book and teach whatever group they have of teens, and they can bring my information to the teens. So yes, organizations can definitely use the resource. For the college students, I think every organization or business wants a good college student, and you want a college student who wants to be there. What better employee is there than having an employee who wants to be there, right? They show up at work because they want to be there. So you're going to get enthusiasm from that employee. You're going to get initiative from that employee because they chose you. Yeah. They were just lucky enough and happy to be hired, but they chose you to be there. So yes, I think there is some benefit for that.
What a great strategy, truly.
Thank you.
Okay, so how long have you been doing this as a coach, as a career coach, and also in some ways as a life coach? How long have you been doing this?
I would say in 2011. I started doing it because in 2008, when they had that big layoff, I got cut from that. Okay. So I had to reinvent myself.
Oh, that's when you did your pivot?
Yes.
Okay.
So I reinvented myself, and this teen workshop started off as something I was doing in the community for free to give something back and to, for me to have something to do since I'm not working. And it kind of just grew and caught on, and so now here we are.
Well, how has over the past decade, you working in this area and really changing lives, how has this affected your own family? In terms of your calling and in terms of, maybe their perception of you, how has this changed your family life?
I would say that my family is so supportive. I mean, this whole thing came because my sons said, "Mom, you should teach this." Oh. So it started with them. Okay. They literally said, because they're doing so well, they said, "Mom, you should teach this." And that was back in 2010, and by 2011, I was doing it for free. And who knew that there was such a great need? I knew that there was a need, but the response I'm getting is wonderful.
What is the legacy that you would like to leave for future generations? What is the impact that you want to have?
That I cared enough to do something about a problem. That I cared enough to step in and do something about a problem that I'm just not complaining about it. Yes, I see it, but I'm creating something to help make it better.
Yeah. Your mission is very clear, and it is so meaningful because every single person in our country, in the United States, is gonna if you live long enough to become a teenager and you've gone through the educational system and you're on your way into adulthood, I mean, this is essential, really, for every person.
Thank you.
If you are, if you are successful with this, achieving this sort of vision you have, okay, what would the world look like in 3 to 5 years? How would things be different for teenagers coming into the marketplace, for people who maybe have gone through your program over the course of the last several years? What does the world look like if your vision comes to fruition?
It looks like youth who turn out to be productive, profitable adults who have a career, who have a focus and a purpose, and not just in the streets or doing things that are unsavory. So what I want to do is I want to bring these skills to people so that they can build and help their lives. It's really not about me at all. It's what I can give to society to help society build better citizens and give them opportunities, skills, and things that they can do to help themselves.
So a society with better citizens. I'm immediately thinking this means statistically a lower crime rate.
Right.
This means a happier generation.
Exactly.
People who experience more happiness and joy in their life.
Yes.
Economic security.
Yes. reduce the poverty level because they will have the skills to get jobs and keep them employed.
It's amazing how those things are all connected.
Yes.
And I don't think that we pay enough attention to that. I don't think that we pay enough attention to the fact that the state of the world right now, that if you trace it back, you might find that if people had a little bit more support, not only at home but also from their community in terms of building their career and all that, we might have a better situation.
I think so.
This is really something.
I think
so. Okay, So do you have any workshops upcoming? Any events upcoming that are important to make sure that people are aware of?
Well, the workshops come from organizations or schools or police departments, because I work closely with the NYPD as well for an anti-recidivism program. So this teaches them, the kids who may be in gangs or, just
and for
don't have
those
any
of us
direct...
who maybe aren't familiar with that word, that means that people who are released from prison and not going back to prison.
Right, to prevent them from going back, coming in, going out. So maybe with these skills, they can have a grasp on, what to do, how to approach getting into the workforce and being a viable candidate.
So what has the reception been like from schools, I imagine, from high schools maybe, or from, maybe, I don't know, local city governments? I mean, I know you're all over the place. So what has some of the reception been towards your program from some of these other organizations and institutions? Has it been positive? Do they understand the vision?
They really do. And I think that excites me, the fact that I think when I talk about the program, my passion comes out for it, because I really, really love working with the youth, the young adults. So when I describe my vision to them and my program and my workshop to them, like, they're excited because they see that what I'm doing, there's an element of difference in there. It's different from what's offered already. And even if nonprofits or schools have a program, I'm not here to replace their program. I'm here to enhance their program.
Okay, I think that's very powerful. You're here to enhance. So what about some of the teenagers who've had an opportunity to go through your program? What have been maybe one or two of their feedback? What's the word on the street from the teen perspective? I know I'm not a teen, I'm not hip, but what's the word on the street from the teens?
I don't know about on the street, because I'm not on the street, but I'm not on the street. But what they do tell me is when I get testimonials from them.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, it brings tears to my, like, literal tears to my eyes to hear them talk about how I told them, hey, listen, I love what you're doing. Sounds like you have some great leadership skills. You might want to hone those leadership skills. Or, they have complaints about a particular class, and I said, listen, whatever you're complaining about in class, like, step up and be a leader and do something about it. Don't just, depend on others. So they're really getting, different aspects from the workshop. Each child, gets something different from it that makes them, happy that they took it. And it makes me so happy when they say that they're so glad that they took the workshop. It just hits me in the heart.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
I
Pamela,
love it.
I'm curious, when you were a teen, did you see yourself doing this?
Not at all.
What did you want to be when you were a teen?
I didn't know. That's the thing. I still don't. Well, I just recently found out. Okay? I just recently found out. But as a teen, my parents, I didn't really know. So I did the things that, I was lacking as a child. My husband and I gave to our sons. We exposed them to different careers and different industries so that they can make a choice where they wanted to be. So no, I didn't know. But I feel like I'm in my passion now, and I think it's never too late. Yeah,
absolutely. It is never too late. It is never too late. And your story, I think, is incredibly inspiring. And
Thank you.
Your passion for helping teens carve out a place for themselves, helping them carve out a future, for their lives. I think that it is something that I can't help but be excited about that.
Thank you.
I mean, it is beautiful, but then the work that you're doing and actually bringing that to fruition is, it's inspiring, it's admirable. More people more people need to know about you and your mission, because it is changing lives.
Right.
I'm gonna give you the last word. We have just a few minutes left. Is there anything that you want to make sure that people who are watching today's episode of Build Your Difference and are maybe hearing about you and this program for the first time, is there anything that you want to make sure that you leave them with for today?
I just want to say thank you to you for inviting me on the show, and I would like to leave, parents, if you're struggling with your teens, I know it's tough raising kids, but if you could find the patience and the time to listen, to hear them, and to respond to them, because that's what a lot of kids need. Kids go through a lot these days, with social media. They go through a lot, and we need to keep that in mind when we're raising them, that they are going through a lot, and we have to be there for them as parents to help them get through.
I on behalf of our audience, I really appreciate you being here. I think we can all learn from what you're doing, Pamela.
Thank you.
You're changing lives out there.
Thank you.
All right.
Trying every day.
So listen, it's that time again. And if you have any questions about today's segment, I want to remind you that you can see that information scrolling at the bottom of your screen. If you've been watching Skills to Pay the Bills in today's segment of Build Your Difference, thank you. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful week.